I'm building a crypto trading bot network that runs live on taylormcclenny.com. And each week I publish a video on Friday showing how the bots did, talking about the market, and any updates I made with the software. This week I actually started a job in finance and AI. It's pretty much my two loves. So I'm so glad to start that. But that may mean that these videos will now be published on the weekend. So I'm not sure about that yet, but just a heads up. The bots had a fairly slow but still decent week. Bitcoin topped out at around $50,000 earlier this week and has continued to trade sideways in a little channel around 48 to 46,000. Some of the altcoins have taken off, like especially Solana. ADA has stayed really strong. And a couple other alts have showed some strength, while some are really bouncing around and actually have regressed a bit. So we'll take a look at the charts shortly and review that. About midweek this week, I upgraded my network to use a kind of queuing method to stratify the risk that my bots can take. So this means that I can have one bot that's having a riskier entry or a riskier deal, and then another one that might have a slightly lower risk, and then another that has a lower risk still. So this allows me to continue to trade often with one riskier bot, but then continue to have some type of safety by kind of cascading the risk down. So I'll go over that a little bit more in the video as we get to the weekly review. So let's take a look at the charts first. If you're interested in how it's made or building your own, I published two videos reviewing the background and the architecture and actually walking through the code and showing you how it's done line by line. So if you're interested in that, go check out those videos. I'll put a link up here to those couple videos. And yeah, just give me any feedback so I know that it's worthwhile continuing that series. That series takes a little bit more time than these weekly updates. So I just want to hear from people and know that it's helping them. Also, we have a fairly new subreddit that is /r/trading with bots, and there just publish educational content and videos that help me and sources of information that help me, and others contribute to that as well.
All right, here we're looking at the Bitcoin daily chart. As we discussed before, it topped out around 50,000 earlier this week and is still continuing to bounce around in, I guess you could maybe say, a slightly higher channel. If you've been following along, you know that I've been expecting a somewhat sharp regression or just kind of return to the mean around like 40,000 or so. So I've kind of been surprised we haven't had that yet. As time goes on, it does seem like we're continuing to see a bit more strength than I imagined. I still do think that we're going to see a downward move, but now I'm expecting it to be a little slower and steadier. So I think maybe we'll see something like continuing some sideways action and then slowly moving back down to 40,000 before we make another move. I'm really not sure about that, but this is kind of a theory I'm drawing from watching previous chart movement and also digging into the on-chain metrics and considering the stronger hands and the stronger people that have started to buy and accumulate Bitcoin around and under $40,000 and the kind of excitement we've had since passing $40,000 and kind of the bandwagoners that have jumped back in above 45,000. So I think that I think we have a stronger support now at 40 because of the more institutional, more big money investors who have bought into Bitcoin during this most recent about 3-month long dip. But again, I think we've had a little bit overexcitement and we will return to about 42,000 before we decide to make another move. And as I said, altcoins have stayed stronger as well. Some of the stronger alts, of course. ADA looks amazing. I sold quite a bit of ADA around 275, 285, and I'm trying to buy it back at lower prices, but it's staying strong. That's really cool. I love the project, so I'm all for that. Kind of the same story with ETH, and Solana has really been the big breakout, having this huge, huge move. So I've continued to sell a lot of it as it goes up, and I will buy it as it comes back down. 80 is really strong for Solana. I think it's maybe a bit premature and a little too strong. So again, I'm preparing for now a kind of slower but a steady downside. So to go over the updates that I made to the code and how I'm kind of trying to take advantage of what I've learned over the last few weeks is that I would like to be able to be a bit riskier at times, but not have to constantly think about putting on a little more risk and then taking it off. I want to make that as automated as possible. So what I've done is taken my like risk entry metrics for entering trades, and I figured out a way to like cascade the risk so that if we're already in a single risky trade, then the next trade has to be less risky, and the trade after that has to be less risky as well. But I can make some small changes to the inputs to very easily govern that. So right now you see I have a max deal of 3 bots. So we have 3 bots running, and I now have this list of RSI daily values for entering the trades. No matter what, the 1 hour and the 15-minute are going to stay the same, and I will adjust periodically the 1-day values in this list here. So this list here just means that we'll start with 60. So right now the first trade, the riskiest trade, has to be at or under 60, and then trades thereafter have to be at or under 55. And I could add more here to say like a 62.5 to have in the middle, or whatever I'd like to here. But again, this allows me to cascade the risk so that if there's a risky trade already open, the next trade should be less risky. And then I can kind of specify how risky I'd like to be at any given time. And I'll update these maybe every few days or weekly. So again, this was midweek, so we didn't get to see a ton of performance for it. It was about half of the week. It does seem like it made some effect because, again, I remember I was dealing with just 2 bots for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, and this has allowed me to at sometimes have 3 bots. And even when trades like comp, which has taken quite a dive, even when trades like comp have become lower than expected and harder to deal with, I've been able to have 2 bots continuously moving and buying and selling. So again, we see that active deal of comp stuck here. It's still needing to make back 8.5%. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to handle that, if I'm going to intervene, but we'll see. The other bots have continued to move over the last week. And again, for the last week, we had $36 in profit. Not too bad, but not great. Again, kind of slower and steadier. So that's 3.3%. And our monthly profit is $155, which I think is really, really good. And then all-time profit at 175 or 22%. So I'm still impressed with most of these numbers. Again, I really want to focus on kind of slow and steady growth. I think slower weeks are around 3 and 4%, and better weeks around 6, 7, 8, 9%. So altogether, not too bad, pretty aggressive, but still very safe. And that's exactly how I want to stay. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch up next week.